Hello everybody, Blue Dooley, and in this video we're back on the grand hauler because I really need to get it put back together and get the sounds and lights all polished up for next month for the Dig Days event. I do got some 3D printed parts I need to get on the truck. The bumper, I'm not super happy with the bumper, so we might work on that a little bit, or we might put the stock bumper back on it. But first thing we need to do is get the bumper I made off, so we can install a new bumper mount and servo bracket, which is not 100% finished yet, but I will have a finished version up on my Thingiverse page so you can download it. So let me get this bumper off here real quick, and then we'll show you where this goes and kind of explain why I built it the way I did. I also need to pull the transmission out of the truck again, because we're going to take third gear out of the truck so the truck actually has a neutral, which again we'll kind of cover here when we get into the sound and stuff a little bit. But let's get this bumper off first. So I built this bumper as kind of a heavy duty bumper. I put some chicken sticks on it and a toe point on it. I'm not really happy with the way it turned out. Because where I mounted it, I wanted it so you could really pull on this thing and not yank it off the truck. But it's now mounted too high, so the body sits down on the bumper, and it actually needs to be a little bit lower than the top of the bumper. So that's kind of where this piece comes in. And I didn't make this one end. There needs to be a little bit more out here, so the second screw for the leaf spring mount will screw into it. But we'll get this in the truck and kind of show you what it's supposed to do. So the way the truck is going to work, this 1200 kV Hobbywing Fusion is actually what runs the transmission in the truck. The SFR1, which does the lights and sound on the truck, also will run a brushed motor. And the reason I'm putting the neutral in the transmission is because when I go to power the belt on the trailer, this is going to run the belt on the trailer. And since it runs the sound, it'll sound like the engine increases idle to run the wet kit to power the trailer if it were a real truck. But since it's electric, I kind of got to do a little fiddling. So the throttle is a Y connector, and so it'll basically send power to both motors at the same time all the time. To keep the trailer from running when I don't want it to, I'm just going to unplug that motor. The truck will drive around, the sound kit will function correctly. But then when I go to use the trailer, I can't really easily unplug the Fusion. So what you do is you'll shift into third gear, and this transmission will not spin. The truck will stay stationary, but I still have second gear and first gear. So I'm going to clean this up and dab a little more grease on everything. All the gears appear to look in good shape, so that's fine. For spacers, I actually used the bronze bushings that I built the truck with originally, but now it's completely running on bearings. So I had a bunch of bushings, and three of them, well, 3 plus 2 washers and then a fourth one, take up all that gear space and allow me to get the E-clip in there so that shaft doesn't wiggle in the transmission. So that's where we're at on that. I'm going to reset my pinion mesh, dab a little more grease in here, put it back together, put it in the truck. So this piece is still kind of in prototyping. I needed to make it a little thinner because my servos are moved forward in the chassis to fit the Hobbywing Fusion, because I'm not using the short can, I'm using the larger can. And I intended this piece to be 100% infill when you print it, so it's stronger and you can easily drill holes into it so you can mount it wherever you want. Now, the square holes that are in here are meant to fit a square key stock, the 1/4 inch thick stuff. But let's see if I can get one in here one-handed. Of course, with paint, they're not going to fit as nice as they would without paint. Anyways, these two need to be brought up and in so the body will actually sit down far enough, because I forgot the grand hauler, the hoods and stuff, the grills come down a lot lower, so the body wasn't sitting flush on the chassis. But I was kind of making this as a universal mount for a lot of things. I'm going to, when I upload the file to Thingiverse, this will be properly set for the front. And then I'll have one with the little ear for both leaf springs mount, and then I'll have one without ears. So you can put this in the rear of the chassis, or to use as like a bumper mounting bracket for the rear of the truck. It should be thick enough that at 100% infill, you should be able to screw a pintle hook hitch to it and be all right. Again, I'm still learning on the 3D print, so the strength probably comes down to how much infill you have and what the material is made out of. This is out of just regular PLA. But I'm going to get my servos bolted back in, and then I'll get this jammed in the frame rail, and then I'll have to drill the 2 holes on each side to screw it in place. And then we'll kind of set the body on the truck so you can see sort of what I was going for. So that's with it mounted in the truck and the cab on it. I don't have the cab completely bolted down. But what I was going for with this mount, and I'll get, I'm actually going to make a few different variations of it and upload it to Thingiverse. And I'll be sure to put a link to my Thingiverse page down in the description below so you can get the files and 3D print any of the files I have uploaded. You don't have to pay for them, they're free. And I just realized at a happenstance, I almost got the grand hauler bumper mounts lined up with the holes I drilled. So that's kind of a happy little accident. Because the thing that bugs me most about the Tamiya trucks, at least the King Hauler, the Grand Hauler, and the Globe Liner, is their bumpers don't sit flush with the grill like they do on a real truck. For some reason, Tamiya has them sit out forward, and that's just not the look I like. They should be flush. Usually any truck with a front bumper that hangs out usually has a crankshaft driven hydraulic pump off the front, like snow plows and garbage trucks. I've seen some cement mixers with that. Or it's got a big old heavy like push bar almost, like that metal bumper I built to really kind of protect the front end from animal strikes or give it plenty of points to hook onto machines and get towed out of the mud with. So I prefer the bumper to flush mount. And I still need to work on my sizing a little bit, because here's a piece of the 1/4 inch key stock, and it just, for whatever reason, despite cutting the hole out bigger than this key stock, I'm still struggling getting parts to fit inside 3D printed parts. Let's put the truck down here for a second, or the camera down here for a second. And we'll flip the truck around. So this one's stuck in the back, and I realized that it's probably the updated one because, lo and behold, the key stock fits in it. Which this key stock's actually the same size as the hitch the 53 hauler comes with. So if you have some like little shackle mounts that are this size. You could have two toe shackles on the back or safety chain hooks. This was a dump truck for towing trailers. Like I said, you can bolt anything you want to it. I'm going to make a few versions of this, so there'll be kind of like a cross member version, and then I might have one notched out to clear drive shafts, like if you want to mount cylinders going up to something off of this. So it's just going to be kind of a universal cross member bumper mount. That's what I'm going with on this. So I need to, next thing on the list really is get the wiring mess figured out. And I need to rewire a couple of servos because they need to go through the SFR, not through the receiver. And then of course all the lights and stuff are hooked up. But I need to get the truck running and driving again, so it's available for the dig days coming up in May. What we have is a wiring mess because I'm a messy wire, and this isn't how it's going to stay. This is a function test, so I got all of my sounds loaded in the SFR. I have just a high-tech mini servo to replace this annoying chattery Savox because Savoxes are annoying. We do got all of the functions working, I believe. So on the SFR, green means you have power, and the blue blinking quick means everything is good to go. I'm running the sounds and the lift axle servo off of the SFR1. This is also controlling all of the lights, including turn signals. The truck's actual drive motor, the steering, and the shift servo all run through the receiver, so I can drive the truck without any sound. If the SFR starts acting up, the truck's still drivable, it just doesn't have some of its functions. So, and I have custom sounds loaded, not all of them that I want, but let's go ahead and fire the truck up. Air dryer. Lift axle up and down. Uses the same sound. I think I need to adjust the sounds a little bit. I think I have the sound files for actually moving. The sound files are too long, so I need to shorten my sound files up quite a bit. Hook the steering servo and the shift servo up. And then we'll need to clean up my wiring and stuff too. But yeah, the sound teacher, the sounds for the engine need to be a smaller file size, so then when the truck actually stops, it's still not trying to play the sound. So that's why the sound sounds a little goofy. But if you're curious, I'm running, I recorded the audio from American Truck Sim from one of my mods. So the truck is actually supposed to sound like a straight piped 10-inch N14 Cummins. Again, some of my sound files I need to re-record and get shortened in the proper lengths and everything, so that's just kind of a learning curve. So I have my receiver standing up on end. The SFR is stuck to the speaker box, and the speaker box is stuck down to the battery tray with some super heavy duty 3M double-sided tape. I need to zip tie up my wires tight. I did not realize I was running the Fusion in a counterclockwise rotation, so the truck would go backwards when I wanted it to go forwards. And when I switched it on the radio, that meant when I was going forwards, the SFR thought I was going backwards, so I had to change this to a clockwise rotation instead of counterclockwise, because I forgot to do that apparently when I first put this in the truck. And now that I have sounds, I kind of need them to work the right way. But I disabled the backup beeper for the time being because I don't know which way the belt's going to run. So I'll leave that off the truck for now. And then after I get the trailer wired up, I can figure out which way to wire the motor up, because it's actually going to plug into this Dean's plug that's going to run to the trailer to run the belt. So I'll figure out which rotation I need it, and then I'll put the reverse sound back on the card, so when the truck backs up, it beeps, but when I'm unloading the belt, it doesn't beep. So that's going to do it for this video. I need to still figure out a way to actuate my lift axle a little bit. I would like to be able to put a little down pressure on it so it stays in contact with the road a little better than what I had. So I'm going to figure that out. Like I said, get my wiring tidied up. But that's going to do it for this video. Hope everyone's having a good weekend, and we'll catch you in the next one.